think of Bengaluru as the IT city of pubs and a cosmopolitan culture. But for the Lok Sabha polls, Bengaluru is all of that and more. The city is made up of 4 different Lok Sabha seats, and the perception is that they are all BJP strongholds. But each seat is distinct and with its own issues. And the elections this time are made up of many different moving parts. So, could there be an upset?
So what are the themes that have preponderance in this election? Yes, there are several local infrastructure issues, but the BJP wants to project it as an election for the future of the country, where the central leadership needs to be strong, needs to be stable, and there are, of course, the issues of the Ram Mandir and of nationalism. Perhaps that's why this bike rally begins from Major Sandeep Unnikrishnan Chowk.
National security, strong leadership, the PM's face have all been factors in practically every Lok Sabha poll in the last 10 years. But in this election in Karnataka, the focus has been heightened with the arrest of 2 accused in the Rameshwaram blast case. The blast hit a Rameshwaram cafe branch in Whitefield on March 1 in Brookfield in East Bengaluru, injuring 10 people. In election season, naturally the BJP has picked it up with the question, is this the result of appeasement? But before we go further, let's understand the Battle of Bengaluru. The 4 Lok Sabha seats in Bengaluru are Bengaluru South, Bengaluru North, Bengaluru Central and Bengaluru Rural. Between them, these seats have urban, rural, techie, North Indian, Tamil and Muslim population spread out. Even their voting pattern in Lok Sabha and Assembly polls is distinct. For example, in Lok Sabha, 3 of these 4 seats are with the BJP. But of the 32 Assembly seats that make up these 4 Lok Sabha seats, 16 are with the Congress and 15 with the BJP, with 1 going to the JDS in Bengaluru Rural. The Congress has performed stupendously in the Assembly elections, replacing a creaking BJP government besieged with corruption allegations. Will the effect be seen in Lok Sabha as well?
A large section of the South Bengaluru seat is also made up of residential societies like this one, with people who are largely drawn from all parts of the country, are in the service sector. But there's another issue which is being spoken of a lot this election, that is of water shortage, civic infrastructure, etc. Keeping all of this in mind, what do you think is going to happen in this election?
So I think, water is a problem everywhere in Bangalore, right? I mean, it's nothing new, but then it is also about how, proactively respective societies like us are able to manage things, right? So we don't see that as a major issue, this is an election for the center. This is something which the local BBMP as well as the state governments will have to address. So I don't think it is going to have any bearing on what is going to happen at the center. At the center, we know what we are looking for, right? The nation's development, what it is bringing to, enhance the lifestyle of people. That's what is going to matter, I guess. I think it's going to be Modi again. That's what it is.
How is this election going to enhance your lifestyle?
We are all seeing what is happening, right? Whether it is infrastructure, whether it is creation of jobs, because of the infrastructure development. People don't generally see it directly. They see it only when it translates. All these infrastructure development and all of that, whatever is happening, it is going to result into all overall development in the years to come. The industry, everything coming around, right? Tourism. Yeah.
But, I'll be honest with you. A lot of times people say the middle class is a very selfish category where you don't think about water shortage, how it's affecting people who are living outside of your society. You are only voting based on, WhatsApp forwards. That's what the Congress ad also says, that you get all these things on your WhatsApp and you are voting for Modi based on that.
I think we shouldn't discount the middle class so easily, and I think it's a very broad spectrum, the middle class. And the middle class is very, very clever, and they have the ear to the ground. I think it's not just about WhatsApp. While WhatsApp adds a lot of masala, but I think clearly on the ground we're able to see infrastructure, we're able to see what kind of development is happening, we're able to see how India's image in the global platform is zoomed up.
But you don't have water every morning.
Water is a universe. I'm telling you, the next big wars in the globe will be fought for water.
But
right?
what's the
It's
point of
global
having a
problem.
global stature if you don't have water?
Yeah, I mean, but we are doing our best. I think there are things that all citizens need to do. There's only that much that a government can do, and civil society needs to step up. I think rainwater harvesting, for instance, the way we use water, conservation, right? All those things are going to be very important. And it's all about sustainability, and therefore everyone has a role, I think. The middle class, all kinds of classes, all citizens, right? Civil society, the governments, they all have to come together to solve this problem. And the metros are all bursting at the seams, and I don't think Bangalore is an exception. Everywhere you go, we're seeing this.
What do you think is going to happen this election?
BJP going to win
Why?
because able leadership. Modi is a good leader, and we are all following his image and way India developed last 10 years, because of the Modi leadership.
But in the state, the Congress is in power. The Congress came to power in the state despite Mr. Modi campaigning.
Yes, that is the local election, and this is a central elections. In the local, we don't have such a big leaders in the BJP, but in central we have the proper leadership. Because of that, BJP going to win this election.
Definitely Modi is going to win, hands down.
Why is that?
Because of the fact that the kind of changes that he has brought in for the last 10 years across the spectrum, the poor person, I mean, like actually, you all know that actually, when actually 1 rupee is spent, it's basically only 10 paise goes to the this one. Today, Jandan, everything goes. Like that, I mean, like across the spectrum, even actually the poverty, I mean, like for the people below the poverty line, the ration goes. Again, for the middle class, the kind of infrastructure that has happened for the, I mean, like actually for the elite or the industrialists, the kind of growth that has happened for the last 10 years. We are all aware of it. I belong to the earlier generation which has gone through a lot of turbulence. But I can vouch for that because with my own eyes, I have just seen that the kind of respect or whatever this one resonance that has been across the globe. I have seen it personally, what it was and what it is today. I know that.
Okay, tell me this: does it matter when issues like when they talk about people, issues like nationalism, Ram Mandir,
Right.
or are you actually voting for issues like how much money is coming in my pocket?
Yeah, that is definitely one of the issue. Like we need to focus. Culture is something which is very much required. Ram Temple is definitely required. But at the same time, we have seen a tremendous growth under Modi's leadership.
So you think that the BJP is ahead or Congress?
BJP is doing very good, I can say. BJP is ahead of it.
Tell me this, ma'am. Do you think the BJP's lack of strong leadership in the state is a hindrance to their chances?
Definitely. In fact, we were quite disappointed when BJP couldn't make it this time in Karnataka. But we are very hopeful that the next time the BJP will definitely make it.
But who do you think in the Lok Sabha election is ahead?
Yeah, this BJP all the way.
Really? Why is that? Why?
See, they've done a lot of work, and that speaks for it. Whatever you do, you look at it, I mean, from the digital revolution to where we are today. It's all because somebody is focusing on it. Roads, railways, and we work in those industries. We understand what's happening.
But in the assembly elections, the issue of corruption brought down the BJP. How has that changed in Lok Sabha?
So now they've become a 50% party. BJP was called a 40% party. The current slogan is a 50% party. So nobody is different on that.
Okay, so you're choosing the lesser evil.
Obviously. I mean, this was a story made up that they were taking 40%. Is it so? You don't know. So these guys are, I mean, to expect Congress not to be corrupt, unless somebody understands telecom, he will not know the scale of the spectrum losses. So we know how bad they are. They can't be better.
What do you think of these elections, even though you are not a voter yourself? But what do you make of the elections that you see around?
It's very important actually. As the future youth of India, future citizens of India, it's very important for us to know about politics and not stay apolitical.
But who do you think is a good leader right now? Rahul Gandhi, Mr. Modi, or somebody else?
It's of course Mr. Modi, because Rahul Gandhi doesn't know what he's doing. And Mr. Modi...
In class 8, how do you know Rahul Gandhi doesn't know?
Because I've followed up whatever he's been doing from past 4 years, actually. So Modi's government is better, you know, they have good finance minister, we have a good EAM, and yeah, the economy is also doing well. We might go past China, and yeah.
These are residents of one of the many apartment blocks that dot Bengaluru South, the Lok Sabha seat that the BJP has been undefeated in since 1991. But something interesting happened here last year during the assembly elections. Fighting for the Jayanagar assembly seat, Congress candidate Soumya Reddy lost by 16 votes. The Grand Old Party alleged that the result was fixed, blaming sitting MP Tejasvi Surya, and went to court. Now, the same Soumya Reddy has been fielded against Tejasvi Surya in what's being seen widely as a grudge match.
The side effect of being a member of parliament in the IT city of the country, perhaps, is that selfies become the norm. And there are plenty of selfie takers. We're here with Tejasvi Surya, the MP of Bengaluru South. Tejasvi Surya, when you're seeking votes here, is it in the name of the Prime Minister or in the name of the work that you have done?
Whatever work I have been able to do over the last 5 years is also because of the unconditional support Prime Minister Narendra Modi has given to Bengaluru. This election, Padmaja, is an election to elect the country's Prime Minister, to elect the nation's leader for the next 5 years. So, on every seat, on all the 543 seats in the country, there is only one candidate, and that is Narendra Modi. So if Bengaluru has got in the last 5 years 1,30,000 crore worth of projects that we have gotten sanctioned after I became MP, it is only because Narendra Modi has prioritized the development of Bengaluru as one of the top priorities of his government in the last 5 years. So the vote is essentially for Narendra Modi. The vote is essentially to select the leader of the nation for the next 5 years and to continue the political stability and policy continuity the country has benefited from the last decade.
You know, we are here at the Rameshwaram Cafe. You are talking the language of progress. But one also saw you a month ago protesting against the blast that happened. So where does the Tejasvi Surya, who's accused of, you know, being a communal leader, end? And the Tejasvi Surya who talks about development begin? How do the two square off?
I am very surprised that you use the word communal to describe the protest that I led a few weeks ago in Bengaluru, demanding justice for a victim who was thrashed by an unruly mob for playing a Hanuman Chalisa inside the precincts of his shop. You have seen the CCTV video. He was playing Hanuman Chalisa on his Bluetooth speaker inside his shop. He was pulled out of his shop by a few miscreants. Unruly mob thrashed black and blue. The poor chap goes to the police station, tries to register an FIR. The police do not cooperate with him. And later, after great pressure, file a diluted FIR. And it was to protest that injustice I go on the streets and stand by him.
Why I said communal?
So how do you?
Because you made the link with the Bengaluru blast.
No, why do you?
The blast has happened, now this man is being thrashed. So, you know, there is appeasement under the Siddaramaiah government. You made that link and you were called communal. That's why the...
No, unfortunately, Padmaja, the political discourse of this country over the last 70 years has gotten so perverted that those who speak in the favor of the victim, and if the victim happens to belong to the majority community, is always accused as communal. But if I were to stand, knowing fully well that the perpetrators are in the wrong, but if the perpetrators happen to belong to a particular minority community, community, then I would be hailed as a beacon of or an ambassador of Aman Ki Asha. This kind of perversion of political parlance must be challenged, and that is being happening everywhere.
But do you think issues like this, talking about appeasement, talking about Ram Mandir, really have any salience in the IT city of the country? I mean, you should be talking about computers, etc., rather than, issues like this.
Society operates on different dimensions. And for a society's holistic growth, there is a spiritual dimension, there is an economic dimension, there is a social dimension, and all of this, when addressed together, is what makes a society collectively progressive. So in a city like Bengaluru, we see a meeting point of technology and tradition, of machine learning and masala dosa. We see a meeting point of spiritual devotion towards Ram Mandir, and also young people coming forward and building startups of tomorrow. So please do not divorce cultural revival with economic development. Both of them are two sides of the same societal coin. To view society's economic development as very different and exclusive from a society's spiritual and cultural growth is to see it from a very de-rooted Marxist perspective. Please don't go that line.
So since you're talking about masala dosa, we'll just quickly get a coffee. Let's talk about your challenger here. Soumya Reddy, she's been fielded against you.
ನಮ್ಮ ಪದ್ಮಜ ಜೋಶಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಕಾಫಿ ಕೊಡಿಸಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಘೀ ಪುಡಿ ಇಡ್ಲಿ ಕೊಡಿ ಸರ್ ನಿಮ್ದು.
No sugar, sir. No dosa, no sugar, just coffee.
You want to have their ghee pudi idli, it's their flagship. You should definitely try. ಅದೊಂದು ಕೊಡಿ ಸರ್, ನಮಗೊಂದು ಈ ಘೀ ಇದು ಪುಡಿ ರೈಸ್ ಕೊಡಿ ಸರ್. ದೋಸೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ದೋಸೆ ಬೇಡ, ಇಷ್ಟೆರಡು ಕೊಡಿ ಸಾಕು.
So, Soumya Reddy, right? Many are looking at this as a grudge match. Everyone remembers she lost that election with what, 16, 17 votes, right? Last minute, whatever happened. So,
No, what do you mean, whatever happened?
No,
what do you mean, whatever happened?
Congress alleges that this was rigging, that she had won, but because she didn't collect the certificate. Anyway, let's not go back into the past. Is
this is being recorded on national television. Record should be straight. You're a very responsible journalist, and I wouldn't want whatever happened, quote unquote, to come on record on national television. What happened was a recounting of votes as per law. The officials gave the mandate of what the people had voted for. The Congress candidate was declared as per law to have been defeated. The BJP won by 16 votes, and the victorious candidate was given a certificate of election. The Congress, alleging malpractice, has gone to the court. The court will decide on the matter. They should in fact get an expeditious trial and get the whole matter done.
But you think there is a sympathy wave for her because she was there, she was teary-eyed, now she's been fielded against you.
This election is to elect the country's Prime Minister. There is only one issue in this election. Who will be the country's leader for the next 5 years? The NDA alliance says it's Narendra Modi, who has delivered good governance, transformed the country on every aspect over the last 10 years. The India alliance neither has a leader nor has a face to take to the people. It is more so like chow chow bath, a dish that you get here that is all mixed, confused and clueless.
But they have a leader in Karnataka. They have Siddaramaiah and D.K. Shivkumar.
The elections are being held to the nation's parliament. The election is to elect the country's Prime Minister.
You have Yogi Adityanath as your star campaigner.
The party has campaigners. The party has star campaigners, karyakartas of all over the country coming and campaigning for one leader. That is Narendra Modi. So the end result of every vote is to choose who will be the country's leader. Who is the Congress party's leader? Who is the India Alliance's prime ministerial candidate?
Rahul Gandhi is their leader.
If that is the case, they should announce it. Why are they not announcing it? Let the Congress candidates in all 28 seats in Karnataka go to the people and say, your vote to Congress will make Rahul Gandhi the Prime Minister. They should do that.
No, but they are fighting Bengaluru South. Mr. Siddaramaiah went and said, vote for her because injustice has been done to her. So you cannot let go of local issues either. Plus you have the additional issue of water shortage in your constituency. So Housing Society has already boycotted the elections because of the water shortage.
No. Who has created this water shortage? Even in last summer, Bengaluru did not face this water crisis. It is the doing of the Siddaramaiah government. Over the last 8 months ago, many BJP leaders, including me, had forewarned the Siddaramaiah government that if they continue releasing water to Tamil Nadu to appease their DMK ally, Bengaluru will have to suffer during the summer months. These warnings are on record on national television. Despite that, they went ahead and released water unjudiciously to Tamil Nadu. As a result, we are suffering today. Today, Siddaramaiah is out on the streets in my constituency and in other parts of Bengaluru, campaigning for the Congress, trying to blame the water crisis on the BJP. But where was he? Where was his ministers over the last 2 months when people were literally crying for help? It was me. It was people of the BJP, leaders of the BJP, who out of private funds are helping private tankers in all parts of the state, all parts of the city. Show me one visual, not a second one. Show me one single visual, Padmaja, of either Siddaramaiah or DK Shivkumar in any part of Bengaluru interacting with people, trying to give them succor and help in terms of the water crisis. You will not find one. I challenge you. And they have the audacity to lecture us on how to stand up for people during water crisis. Let me also tell you, if you want to take local issues and fight these elections, I will tell you why we will win Bengaluru South with a bigger mandate and a bigger margin than the 2019 elections. The biggest crisis over the last 5 years that we faced collectively as a nation was the COVID pandemic. During COVID, I was inside ICUs. I was inside general hospitals. I was in crematoriums trying to sort out issues for our people. When the whole of the Bengaluru city was reporting 40,000 to 50,000 cases per day, and a certain group of officers and agents associated with them were indulging in black marketing of beds, it was me who exposed the bed blocking scam, and within 36 hours revamped the entire software to make allocation transparent. I ran the country's largest oxygen concentrator banks and supplied oxygen cylinders and concentrator to more than 2,000 people even in the wee hours of the morning. In 30 days, we revamped 4 hospitals and added 350 ICU beds. 4 lakh homes in Bengaluru South, we distributed ration kits and stood by people. This is why people will vote for us. In the last 5 years, after people of Bengaluru elected me, the Prime Minister prioritized Bengaluru's infrastructure needs. We got the STRR approved in the last 5 years to decongest the city. 80 kilometers of the 268-kilometer stretch is already thrown open to public. We built a new international airport terminal to Bengaluru, which UNESCO has declared to be the world's most beautiful airport terminal. In the last 5 years, after people elected me, we have sanctioned 75 kilometers of new metro line to airport. We have expedited the work on the yellow line, which is a lifeline for South Bengaluru, which will be opened in this year, September. To protect Bengaluru from terror attacks, I requested Amit Shah ji to sanction a NIA branch office to Bengaluru, which he did in 2 months, and the Rameswaram Cafe blast is also being invested by NIA today. From SM Krishna's chief ministership period, Bengaluru's demand for a US consulate was pending. It was last year, after 3-4 years of my continuous pursual, when Prime Minister Modi visited US last year, he got approved a US consulate for Bengaluru. My constituency has a large number of old people, senior citizens, to make available affordable medicines to them at cheap, at discounted prices. I increased the network of Janaushadhi Kendras in the constituency. In 2019, we had 14 Janaushadhi Kendras. Today, we have 132 plus, the largest Janaushadhi Kendra network in the whole nation. Through MP-led funds, I have set up South Bengaluru's largest free dialysis center. From the last 2.5 years, every month we do 800 free dialysis. 2 days ago, Bengaluru's Political Action Committee, an NGO that is at the forefront of civic advocacy, released a report card of all MPs of the state. I am the MP who has asked the maximum number of questions in Parliament in Karnataka. I am the MP with the highest number of debates participated in Karnataka. Among all the MPs in Bengaluru, my MP lad spending is the highest. They declared me as the top performing MP. Lokmat Times said I'm the best debutant parliamentarian of the 17th Lok Sabha. People of the constituency have felt my work speak at every instance. This is why people of Bengaluru South will vote for the Prime Minister, vote for BJP with a thumping mandate on the 26th of April.
Okay, you gave a full report card and a full manifesto.
I hope you will
almost.
put all of this without edit.
Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Maybe stand there. All right, there. So, other than all the works that you have listed out, tell me, are you also lucky that you come from a really a bastion-like seat of the BJP? You haven't lost this in what? Like, BJP hasn't lost this in 3 decades? First it was Mr. Anand Kumar and before him.
Giri Gowda, yes.
Yeah. So, there is also that luck, right? That you have what is called a safe seat.
Padmaja, the beauty of the Bharatiya Janata Party is that there are generations and generations of Karyakartas who have built this party ground up by dedicating their all for the welfare of the party. Tapasya. I'm a beneficiary of that tapasya. Many young people in Karnataka, whether it is Vijayendra, whether it is me, whether it is most of the young leaders of today's Karnataka, are beneficiaries of not less than 7 to 8 generations of BJP workers who have given their everything to build the party. I do not deny that there are, if you go around the city, go around our constituency, you will find people who were jailed during emergency. They built the party here. You will find people who have hoisted the Bharatiya Janata Party's flag at all odds at the time when we were losing deposits election after elections. You will find people who were the very earliest of Kar Sevaks, whose family members became martyrs during the Kar Seva. Their sweat and toil is what upon which the Bharatiya Janata Party has built its foundations. One way to look at it is that we are lucky. The second way to look at it is that we have the big burden, a responsibility of carrying forward the same legacy with as much dedication and sincerity with which they gave to the party. And that is what I will do. That is what millions of Karyakartas like me in Karnataka will do.
You know, you say that you are an ordinary Karyakarta who has risen up the ranks. But the Congress has put out your declaration of assets to ask how is it that in the last 5 years your assets have gone up more than 1,000 times. This, they say, is classic case of the BJP is benefiting, or rather the BJP leaders are benefiting from being in power.
To all those, especially the Congress people, who want to understand how my assets have increased in the last 5 years, my one stock tip to them is invest in Modi. That's my stock tip to them. 5 years ago, Padmaja, I was just out of college. I had just started my law firm. We were 2-3 years into practice then. And I had about 13-14 lakh savings, which I had declared. In the last 5 years, our law firm has increased. And over the last 5 years, in addition to the salary that I draw as Member of Parliament, I also draw a salary from my law firm that I founded in 2017. With systematic planning, saving and investments in India's capital markets, in mutual funds and in stocks, my market value of assets has reached around 4 crores. Over the last 5 years, there are millions of young Indians who have entered the stock market for the first time and have benefited because of the burgeoning economy of the country over the last 5 years. 10 years ago, India's Sensex was at 25K. Today, India's Sensex is at 75K. Thanks to the kind of the support that the Narendra Modi government has given to the country's economy. 5 years ago, I did not own a gram of gold. Even today, I don't. 5 years ago, I did not own a vehicle. Even today, I don't. 5 years ago, I did not own any immovable property, residential, commercial, otherwise. Even today, I don't. Each penny that I've earned is out of honest, legitimate, tax-paid money that I have earned through my practice as a lawyer and through my MP salary, and have invested all of this systematically through SIPs, mutual funds, and through stocks over the last 5 years. If somebody like Rahul Gandhi, without any known source of earning and income as a profession, can invest so much of money and accrue benefits over the last 5 years, 10 years because of the burgeoning economy thanks to Prime Minister's leadership, somebody like me with a legitimate law practice can of course benefit from a burgeoning economy. Which is why, Padmaja, 2-3 years ago in the Parliament of India, I had made an intervention asking the finance minister to start courses on financial literacy in schools and colleges. Even today, so many young people who pass out of colleges and enter the job market for the first time do not know how to make savings and smart investments. They do not know the importance of a medical insurance. They do not know the importance of a term insurance. Many do not know that they can start investing in SIPs with as small a sum as 500 rupees. We are a young country today. Tomorrow we will be an old country. It is very important that the young of today are taught a life skill as important as financial literacy, so that tomorrow they can stand on their own feet. So if at all there is a lesson to be learned from the whole controversy or the sensational headlining that certain media outlets are trying to make over the increase of my assets, it is this, that young people must start becoming financially literate and they must start investing in India's capital markets to reap the benefits out of a burgeoning, fast-growing Indian economy.
So what was being cited as a example of corruption, alleged corruption, you have turned into a lesson in Modinomics. You're saying this is the result of Modinomics.
What corruption?
That's what's being said, that
what corruption?
It's gone up 1000% because of corruption.
So, what corruption? I take serious offense to the word that you're using, Padmaja. If a single person in all of Bengaluru will say Tejasvi Surya has taken half a cup of coffee from any builder, any contractor, anybody here, and prove it in court with documents, I will see them in court, and that will be the last day I will be in politics if they prove any of their allegations right. If there is one thing that I stand by and wear as a matter of pride, it is this integrity, this courage of conviction that I have. So this whole thing is nothing but meme creation, trolling. I am not one of those Congress guys who in their affidavit says out of 60-40 agricultural plot, they grow 5 crore worth of onions. Every single rupee in my affidavit is in stocks and in mutual funds. It is tax paid honest money. Let them have the courage of conviction to even make an allegation based on documentary evidence.
The angry challenges by Tejasvi Surya come as the Congress has picked up the issue of his declared assets rising from 13 lakh rupees in 2019 to 4.1 crore in 2024 and called it a case of perks of part. Tejasvi, though, is unabashed that he is riding on the plank of probity, nationalism, a 5-year report card, and of course, Modi. But does the Sabka Saath message percolate everywhere?
Okay, sir. So tell us, who do you think right now in Bangalore has a good chance?
But as per our study, the Congress will come.
Why?
Because of the people thoughts has changed. Due to that reason, my opinion will be expecting Congress.
पर यहाँ पे तेजस्वी सूर्या है और सौम्या रेड्डी है बीजेपी और कांग्रेस से, उन दोनों में से कौन आपको बेटर लगता है? सौम्या रेड्डी इज अ बेटर कैंडिडेट।
देखिए, पर्सन का नाम सौम्या रेड्डी हो या तेजस्विनी हो, अभी आप पार्टी कंपटीशन है, नेम कांग्रेस एंड बीजेपी। सो अभी पब्लिक का जो यहाँ पे थॉट्स आया है वो कांग्रेस है। सो एज पर आवर मेरा ख्याल से कि कांग्रेस विन होगा।
आपको क्या लगता है दोनों पार्टी में कौन बेहतर है?
बेस्ट फॉर कांग्रेस। मुझे अच्छा लगता है क्योंकि किए काम ऐसे बहुत अच्छे काम किए। सौम्या रेड्डी ने बहुत अच्छा काम किया था। आई थिंक उस चीज से सपोर्टिव करते हुए हम लोग कांग्रेस।
आपको इस वक्त कौन लगता है कौन सा पार्टी आगे है, कौन सा बेटर कैंडिडेट?
अपना कांग्रेस आया तो अच्छा है।
क्यों?
सेंट्रल में सब आराम से रह सकते हैं ना, ऐसा है।
तो यहाँ पर आपको लगता है कैंडिडेट सौम्या रेड्डी बेटर है या तेजस्वी सूर्या बेटर?
ये वर्कआउट करे हैं हमारे बीटे मिलेट के अतराफ, किसी को नहीं, सबको अच्छा वर्क।
सौम्या रेड्डी जी ने अच्छा वर्क किया है। हम भी पार्टी से, कांग्रेस पार्टी से, हम भी वर्कर्स हैं। वर्क तो अच्छा किया है, उन्होंने बहुत मेहनत लगाई थी, अच्छा किया है।
जैसे क्या काम किया?
जैसे हमारा रोड का वर्क अच्छा किया है। जो कचरा भरा हुआ था शोभा अपार्टमेंट के पास, वो क्लियर किया है। हमारे कारपोरेटर साहब रिजवान नाथ साहब पूरा किया, बहुत अच्छा वर्क किया है।
पर जैसे कि पीएम के लिए आपको कौन चाहते हैं, कौन पीएम है?
राहुल गांधी।
राहुल गांधी। तो सर बताइए, इस वक्त आपको क्या लगता है किसकी हवा चल रही है?
अभी तो क्या बोलूं मैं, बैंगलोर की ऐसी हालत हो गई है, कुछ किसको देना किसको नहीं देना, कहीं भी जाओ झगड़ा पकड़ा करते हैं। कहीं भी जाओ, कोई भी आओ, पार्टी आओ, कांग्रेस आओ या बीजेपी आओ, हर चार को लेके चलने वाला जो पॉलिटिक्स का जो आदमी मिल जाएगा, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह उसके ऊपर कामयाबी होगी, उसकी भी कामयाबी होगी, हमारी भी कामयाबी होगी।
तो यहाँ पर अभी आपको कौन बेटर पीएम लग रहा है?
पीएम पेट्रोल तो सिद्धरामैया ही थे, वही है।
सिद्धरामैया तो यहाँ सीएम है, पीएम के लिए किसको?
अभी तो हम यंग लड़का तो राहुल गांधी है, माशाल्लाह बहुत अच्छा है। फर्स्ट टाइम उसको लेके आने का हमें सोच रहे हैं। वो आ गया तो देखेंगे, सबको देख लिए, मोदी को देख लिए, ये इसका क्या नाम है, वो सबको देख लिया। मेरा अभी 60 साल मेरी उम्र हो गई है, सबको देख लिया। अब यंग छोकरा है सोनिया, ये राहुल गांधी को एक बार चांस देना है, सब मिलके। एक बार वो आ गया, देखेंगे इंशाल्लाह। पुरानी चक्की का आटे का चावल है वो भी। बैंगलोर में तो कांग्रेस ही बेटर है, कांग्रेस ही बेटर है।
आपको क्या लगता है इस वक्त चुनाव में क्या हवा चल रही है?
कांग्रेस का ही हवा लग रहा है, वही जीतेगी शायद।
और बैंगलोर में बेटर कैंडिडेट कौन लगता है?
बेटर कैंडिडेट इधर सौम्या रेड्डी रहेगी।
क्यों?
उनका एक्चुअली हम उनके फादर से देख रहे हैं, रामलिंग रेड्डी से। हाँ, वो तब से देख रहे हैं उनका सर्विस भी अच्छा है, वो अच्छा देखते हैं सभी को।
Okay, so what do you think is happening in this election?
This election is very important for everybody. You know, India is a beloved country. It's our country. We want to live in peace and harmony. It is not only election winning for one community or two community. See, if you come across here, today everybody gathered to eat the vegetarian food. What it shows? It shows the harmony. So we want this country to progress. We want India to be seen a progressing country. Like China, we are not looking to defend China. We are only looking for the communal clashes and these differences. But go in a way, I put in a Hindi, sabka saath. But where is sabka saath? Why? Why you are doing this? It is not that we are looking Congress or BJP. Whoever rules in a better way, he has to rule the country.
So who do you think is a better for you candidate?
No, it is not candidate. We want everybody, whoever it is, do a good job. Do a good job for the people of the country. Don't look for electoral benefits today. For another 5 years, you will do whatever you like to do. Yes, you can do this. We don't want to be election in North Korea or South Korea, where there is election every time one man will come all the time. We don't want it. It's a country. It's a beloved country.
So do you want a change now?
We want a change.
But who do you think is a good candidate for that change?
No, the candidate for the whoever do a better job, he is our candidate.
But in Bangalore, for example, in this seat, you have got Soumya Reddy from the Congress and Tejaswi Surya from the BJP. Who would be better for you?
See, I have both pros and cons, both candidates. If you look at Soumya Reddy, she has lost the election with a very nominal vote. That is the sympathy for her. So Surya is a young generation, it's very nice. But I like to advise him, go with other community also. Don't look only one. You are young. What age he is now? He has another, he has to serve country in a better way. Whoever do a better job, that's our candidate. We love India. Let people live in peace and harmony.
And it is this section that the Congress is sure will ultimately stand by the grand old party. Soumya Reddy also brings a rich legacy. Her father, Ramalinga Reddy, has won 8 straight assembly polls from the same seat since 1989 and is known to have a stronghold over the area. Now, when the CM also pitches Soumya's election as a revenge for betrayal of the assembly election mandate and with the added political heft of her father, can she buck a trend of over 30 years?
Ma'am, is this for you sort of a revenge for the MLA election?
Well, I'm here to speak up for people. I've been an MLA for 5 years. And injustice happened on the day of counting. And I've gone to, in fact, court. And it's actually revenge of people of Bangalore South.
But is this going to be an emotional election also? I saw the Chief Minister saying that, a daughter of Karnataka has been cheated. Your father has been a long-time MLA of this area. So is this also going to be an emotional pitch that you're going to take to the people?
I think as humans, we are emotional at the end of the day, but it is about the development that is done on the ground. It is about injustice that's happened to the people of Karnataka, because the MPs, especially the sitting MP over here, was all he did was just praise the Prime Minister. There's been so much injustice that's happened to our own state because the funds that we were supposed to get, we didn't rightly get. And people, when they vote, they expect you to speak up for them, be a part of, resolving their problems. But what did the 25 BJP MPs do in the past 5 years? So people are absolutely disappointed. And across, not just here in our own state, but also across the country, saying that हम अच्छे दिन तो नहीं आए 10 साल से, बस झूठ. It's all about just lies, and it's all about just hollow promises. They've given a chance, not just 1-2 terms, and people are expecting. You can definitely see a change across Bengaluru South and also across the state, because people know that Congress, when they say something, we practice what we preach.
You've got a state government over here. The BJP has come with a pitch of strong central leadership, that we are going to make the country secure. You have a strong leader at the center. We have a face. Is that a factor?
Absolutely not. They've had 10 years to do that. And they promised 2 crore jobs. What happened to that? We've had unemployment at the highest right now. The youth in our country are upset. Look at women. They said, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. What's happening? And in fact, in the workforce, people who are suffering the most is actually women. It's in fact decreased. GDPs are the lowest. And not just that, look at what's happening in states like Manipur. They've seen women, being abused, and the Prime Minister can go to the neighboring state of Assam, but then couldn't bother to go just a few kilometers and resolve the issue in a state over there. And not just that, be it each and every state, be it Karnataka, be it Kerala, be it so many states, we've had to go to court to get money that we deserve. This is our money. This is our tax. When we're contributing about 100 rupees, when every Karnataka is getting about 13 rupees, a person in Uttar Pradesh is getting about 333, and a person in Bihar is getting 900, I think we deserve better, because we need development as well in our own state and our own Nama Bengaluru. And people are upset. People are fed up. People are expecting a change this time, saying that we want somebody who will speak up and who will be inclusive. And people are also fed up of, misusing religion and caste and all of these things. They're like, listen.
Misusing how?
Talking about caste and religion. Talk about work. Talk about development. Our country, our constitution, each and every one of us, including us as women, we have got an opportunity to vote. I've got an opportunity to become an MLA and MP because of the constitution that was written years ago by Baba Saheb Ambedkar. But what's happening right now? And so it is very unfortunate. People are, in fact, there is divisive politics that's happening. And be it, minorities, be it farmers, be it truck drivers, be it women, they have been protesting across the country because people are not just fed up and upset, but there is massive injustice that's happening.
Bengaluru saw the Rameshwaran Cafe blast. Now the 2 accused have been arrested. Do you think that's going to be a major issue in the elections in Karnataka as a whole, and Bengaluru in particular? Because 2 accused at large for so long, a Shimoga model that was spoken of, now they have been arrested. Is that going to be a major factor?
Our city, our state has always been peaceful. Suddenly something like this happening during election time is something very fishy. And in fact, you can see why is that 2 sitting chief ministers, Mr. Arvind Kejriwal and Mr. Hemant Soren, were just arrested overnight. Why is that arm twisting of people, of agencies, including IT, CBI, ED, that's being happening? And that's unfair. At the end of the day, this is a democracy. And we need to, at the end of the day, uphold the constitution.
But I'm sorry to interrupt you, but did you suggest that there seems to be a suspicious timing of the blast?
What I'm trying to say is, at the end of the day, our own state, it's always been peaceful. Even when BJP was in power, there was a double-engine sarkar, and BJP was in power in Karnataka, be it hijab, halal, and multiple other things, and non-issues were actually taken. So at the end of the day, there needs to be peace, there needs to be security, there needs to be non-violence in the whole country.
But because of this blast and that Hanuman Chalisa episode that happened, the allegation is that there is a certain atmosphere being created which encourages, if not encourage, maybe emboldens radicals of a certain...
Padmaja, I think you're not from Bangalore. There was no Hanuman Chalisa that was actually played. In the BJP MLA himself, Mr. Uday Garudachar, said that it is actually concocted.
Monetary dispute.
Yes. So you shouldn't be saying this and creating, saying lies to media. So there was no...
No, it wasn't a lie. That was the allegation made by the person who was beaten up. And he still remains quite categorical that it was about playing.
It's not there in the FIR. The BJP MLA, who's a sitting MLA over there, said that it is a non-issue. Which was, in fact, there are people of different religions who were actually involved. And at the end of the day, what's wrong is wrong. Don't paint religion to a person who has, done any mistake, irrespective of who it is. Whether a person is Hindu, Muslim, Christian, whoever. What's wrong is wrong and treat it that way. Do not paint an entire community that way. No?
Final word, what do you say to people who are saying that this Shimoga module, the fact that these people ran away, all of this shows a atmosphere of impunity to radicals?
So what I'm trying to say is also, you must have seen that a BJP Karyakarta himself was involved in it. So at the end of the day, NIA is...
He wasn't involved, he was called as a witness, and I put out a statement.
So they are involved, is what I'm saying. We don't know anything. Investigation is still happening.
No, actually, he sold a phone, which was then subsequently bought by the accused.
So we still don't know. It's still being investigated, is what I'm saying. So NIA, which is an independent body, needs to ensure that there is peace across the country. And at the end of the day, let's talk about issues. Let's talk about what's happened in the past 5 years. Let's talk about what's happened in the past 10 years. Are women safe? Are women getting educated? Farmers are protesting. There is 83% of the people who are unemployed are youth. What's happening? And let's talk about all of these things.
This seat has no particular caste domination. Among the candidates, Soumya Reddy is a Vokkaliga and Tejasvi Surya is a Brahmin. Both communities account for 10% each of the demography. In addition to this is the 12.7% Muslim and 7.9% SC population. But to all apparent appearances, the fight is undoubtedly one of a David versus Goliath. With video journalist Gopal Dutt Sharma and Tanu Vijani in Bengaluru, Padmaja Joshi for Times Now.